Hi, my name's Scott, and I am a former Wink owner, enthusiast, who has decided to move off of the Wink platform, given the most recent news that they're moving to a paid subscription per month. It's not that the $5 a month is going to set me back to the extent that I no longer like Wink. It's that the business decisions and practices of Wink over the last 2 years have not instilled a lot of confidence in me. And the platform itself has been, the reliability factor has significantly fallen off in recent months. Mine has always been rock solid. I do IT for a living, so my home network is pretty strong, and when other people were having problems with their Wink platform, mine was still pretty solid until probably the last 6 months, where it's been offline at least once a month. And now that they're moving to a paid subscription, and they're not really offering anything new along with that paid subscription. And it was announced in a very short term, basically giving people 1 month to either pay up or switch platforms during a worldwide pandemic. It just leads me to believe that Wink is not going to be a viable solution for the long term. So when looking at a new smart home hub or a platform to move to, one of my biggest concerns this go around was finding something that enabled local control. I live in the country. I do not have a great internet connection. So I wanted something where I could still control my house and control my lights for my computer, even if I lose internet, and something that I wouldn't be backed into a corner 2 or 3 years from now if they decided to shutter their doors and their business went away. So local control was a huge interest of mine, and so I decided to move into the Hubitat. Now, I had 5 Wink relays that I was trying to decide whether to replace them with 2 individual smart switches. And then I came across a online post in the Hubitat forums from a gentleman named Josh, who has done a really, really good job at designing code that will route your Wink relays and enable them to connect to the Hubitat platform. When I initially went and found these instructions, they were really long, seemed a little confusing to me. Probably not to a developer like Josh or any of the other guys that are into really hardcore development of the smart home systems. But when I was reading through them, there was a lot of steps. They linked to other routing instructions of the Wink relay. And I first started reading it and I was like, is it worth, just replacing 10 switches to the tune of $40 a switch? Well, luckily, I actually had the time to invest in playing with one of the relays before I drove to Lowe's or Home Depot and started looking for some replacement switches in a pinch. And so the first one I played with took me about 3 hours to figure out following these instructions. I was almost ready to give up, and I actually, within minutes of spiking it on the ground and getting in my car and driving to Home Depot, it actually began to work. And so I went on and did the rest of my relays. And the last one I did, I made this video because I learned a lot while I was doing it. Not every relay is exactly the same or functions the same. For the most part they do, but they have little idiosyncrasies while you're trying to do this that as you get through 1 or 2, 3, you start to figure out what they are, and you're understanding the process that you're following. And by the last 3 relays that I was doing, I could do it all from heart. I didn't have to read the instructions, and it was actually pretty simple. So the one thing, these guys did a tremendous job at writing the code and putting the instructions out there. But the one thing that I couldn't find was a video like this on how to do it. So hopefully this video helps some of the other Wink folks out there that like their relays and they want to continue to use them and they want to move to another platform. So if you're like me and you want to keep your Wink relays, you like your Wink relays, and you want to move to another platform, the integration does exist and it does work, and it seems to work very well. They actually perform very well connected to the Hubitat, better than they ever did to my Wink. The light presses or the button presses and the lights turning on is pretty instant. But you can go onto Google and you can search beta Wink Relay LAN integration, and you can find this gentleman, Josh's instructions on how to move your Wink relays over to the Hubitat system. And the rest of this video is basically going to show me going through the process of doing my final relay, and hopefully that can help other people to get it done a little bit faster than I was able to do it just by reading the instructions. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the Wink relay from Wink. I'm going to go into the relays. Okay, this is my last relay. I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to choose Remove Relay. Yes, remove. And what it does is it actually doesn't remove it from Wink, but it changes the name to just Wink Relay. And once that happens, then you know you're good to go in Wink. You can go ahead and complete the rest of the process. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull this, we're going to turn it on, okay? And then we're going to reset the button on the bottom while holding the top switch. To reset the button on the bottom, you got to get something a little bit narrow. If you have a fingernail, you can probably get your fingernail up in there, but if you do not have a long fingernail, it could be a little bit of a hassle to get this thing to reset. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this pair of scissors, and the reset button is kind of right underneath the bezel here. So I'm going to hold this button down, and then when I tap the button, you'll see the device reset. There you go. I'm going to hold the top button until the Wink relay boots into its safe mode, I guess, quote unquote. All right, so there's the safe mode. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to Wipe Data Factory Reset. I go down to Wipe Data, Factory Reset. Once it's selected, you have to hit the button twice. It's going to ask you to confirm. You got to hit the down arrow until you get it to delete all user data. Tap it twice to confirm. It's going to delete data, and it's going to take you back to that menu again. Okay, so once it has completed deleting the data and doing its factory reset from that part of the menu, sorry, it's not focusing properly, it'll bring you right back to this menu again, and you want to go down and choose Reset to Factory Image. And that's going to complete a very similar process. Now, once this completes, the relay is going to reboot. It's going to come back up, and it's going to be like you just got it out of the box again. It's going to prompt to set up the wireless network, and then it's going to prompt you to log into Wink and then try and do its thing. The only thing you want to do after this reboots is connect it to your wireless network. And just like the last time, it will sit there for a little while, and then it will go dark, and it will boot back up again, as we are witnessing right now. It's going to come back up to the log on to your wireless network screen. Okay, so connect to your wireless network. So here you're going to connect to your wireless network. Okay, so I have entered my credentials in for my wireless network. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit done here. It's going to connect to the wireless network. Then it's going to come up to the initial Wink setup logon screen. Okay. From here, we want to bail out of this interface, and we want to go to the Android operating system interface that is basically, this is a shell sitting on top of it. So what we're going to do, sometimes this takes a couple tries, but when you arrive at this menu, you're going to cover the sensor up top completely. If any of it's exposed, it tends to not work. So we're going to cover that completely, and then we're going to hold the bottom paddle until the lights blink on and off, and you'll hear the relay click a couple of times. My experience is this doesn't work on the first try every time. You have to hold it for about 10 seconds, let it go, recover the sensor up here, and then tap the bottom button, hold it down for another 10 to 12 seconds, and then it generally tends to click on the second or third try. All right, so let's see how many times it takes me here. I'm going to cover the sensor completely with my thumb, hit the bottom button. There we go. Then you'll arrive at the Android home screen. Okay, so hit OK. Open up your menu. Hit OK. Okay. Now we need to set the device settings so that we can accept additional applications for installation. So I'm going to go into the settings. I'm going to go under security. And I'm going to make sure I put a check in the box next to unknown sources. Okay, yes, I'm okay with that. Okay, then I'm going to close back out to the security screen. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom where it says About Tablet. I'm going to open that up. And then under the build number, the very last option, I'm going to start tapping that. Oops, wrong one. Right here. If you tap it enough, you'll get a message that says you are now a developer. You want to stay in that mode. So now you can't get out of the settings screen. So what we need to do is we need to pull it off the wall, plug it back in. It'll boot back up again to the Wink logon screen, and then we'll redo the reset to bail back into the Android operating system. So I'm going to pull it off the wall, put it back on the wall again. Back at the Wink logon screen, let's try this process again. Cover it up, touch the button. There we go. Back to the Android operating system. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the applications. We're going to open a web browser. Okay, and we're going to go to the website for APK Pure. So it's going to be www.apkpure.com. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. Okay, when we get to the APK Pure website, we want to actually search for APK Pure. So we're going to go to the top of the screen, and there's a little search icon right here. And if you click on that, it'll take you to a search or give you some sort of an ad that you can close. There we go. Now we're at the search. We're going to insert into the search field. I may have gotten a little click happy there. Search. Scroll up. Sometimes the pages take a few seconds to load and you can't tap. And if you tap too fast while the pages are loaded, it'll take you to another page you don't want to go to. So you really do have to have a little bit of patience when you're clicking around on these because they're not as fast as your computer would be. So search. Okay. Click in the search field. There we go. There we go. So we're in the search field. We're going to type in APK Pure. And then we're going to search for it. Should pull it up as the first result right here. APK Pure. Okay, we're going to download this. Download APK. Click that button. It's going to take you to another screen. And once it's fully loaded, click the button. It's going to take you to another screen. Okay, it's not going to automatically download for you, so wait for the page to load. And then there's a little click here option right here. Click here. And you're going to see at the top of the screen, just like your phone, it starts to load. You can drop the screen down. It's downloading it right here. Okay, so once it's downloaded, we're going to go ahead and click on it. It's going to ask you if you trust it and what you're going to allow it to use. Next, next, install. Once it's installed, you're going to go ahead and open it. Now, this app is basically like your Play Store app on your Android phone. You can use this app to download the other apps that are required to root this device. Probably one of the most important apps that you're going to download is Assistive Touch. And Assistive Touch lets you kind of toggle between different screens on the Wink relay while you're setting it up so that you don't get stuck in the Wink shell and not able to get out of it to do the remaining steps that you want to do. So the first thing I'm going to download is Assistive Touch. Okay, so this is very important. This is where I got stuck for hours on the first one. I remember reading something about it, but I didn't understand what I was reading in the instructions, and that is people were saying that you can't load the latest version of Assistive Touch on the Wink relays. The first one I did, it loaded fine. The second one, it would not load. I kept trying, it would download, but it wouldn't install. So what I found is that when you go to these applications on here, I mean, I kind of knew this, but I didn't know I had to do it with the Wink, that if you scroll down on the app, once you have it up, there's an option for version history right here. For the Assistive Touch application, you have to load an older version. Most of the relays I've ran into, you have to go back a few versions to load an older version. The most recent one will not install. It will frustrate you to no end. So you go under version history here, and that takes you to a screen that has every version that ever, was available in the last, I think this goes back to 2018 if you keep scrolling down. But what I do is I go into a version that's from 2019. Okay, 2020's here, 2019's right here. I'm going to install this version from 2019. It's going to download. And you can see the percentage on the button, the install button, when you click it. Okay, then it's going to install. You're going to pick next, next, install. Okay, app's installed. I'm going to open it. Assistive Touch can stay open because it kind of is a tool that sits on top of everything else that's on the screen that lets you get to other screens if you need to. So there's no harm in opening it when you first download it. Okay, just accept the info with it. Okay, now this is the assistive touch button. That lets me toggle between the Wink shell and the other apps that I'm getting ready to install now. So I'm going to go back to my APK software. Whoops. Wait until this is done. I'm going to go back to my APK software by clicking in the downloads. Then I'm going to go back to app management, back to the original screen that I was on before I got the assistive touch. Now I'm going to download 2 more applications from APK Pure. I'm going to download Firefox, okay? Okay. Once it downloads, it's going to install. It's going to ask you the same series of questions. Next. Next. Install. When Firefox is done installing, I'm not going to open it. And then that way I can get the last app that I need for the moment from the APK Pure software. And that is the Nova launcher. Okay, so I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to choose done here. Okay, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to download Nova launcher. And there's my Nova launcher software. I'm going to install that. Okay. Next, install. Okay. So now I'm done. Okay. So now I'm going to use the assistive touch. And I'm going to go home. And now you'll notice, when I hit no thanks to this, that it gives me the option when I reboot, am I going to boot with Nova Launcher or am I going to boot with Wink Relay? I'm going to choose Wink Relay once, just once. And I'm going to let it boot into the Wink Relay OS. Now it's on the Wink Relay OS. Now what they recommend you do is actually log into Wink and let it pull all the updates down from Wink to the relay. So I'm going to go ahead and log into Wink, and you see the assistive touch is still there. I'm going to log into Wink. So now I'm logging into Wink. It's going to configure it. It's going to download updates. It's going to take about 5 to 10 minutes to run through everything. It may reboot a couple times, come back up, start running updates again. Okay. When it comes back up, it's going to ask you what you want to load, Nova Launcher or Wink Relay. At this point, once it's been updated from Wink, I'm going to choose Nova Launcher, and I'm going to say always. Okay. Nova Launcher is going to give you the initial setup. You just next through it. Actually, Nova Launcher didn't come up this time. It came up to the Wink Relay, but that's why I have the assistive touch. Click assistive touch. Actually, before I do that, let me click off of that. I am going to go through and choose next, tell my buttons what it does, regular light, okay, regular light or other, okay, next, 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 done, done, got it, okay, Wink Relay set up. Go to assistive touch, click home, Now I'm back to the home screen. My new home screen is the Nova launcher. So real quick, I'm a little OCD about this, but I'm going to get rid of these things that I'm not going to use. The Google search, sorry, not going to use it. This shell of a Google browser, not going to use it. Get rid of it. Google Play, not going to use it. Get rid of it. Okay. Even Nova launcher settings, I'm not going to use it. Get rid of it from that screen. Okay. Here's all the apps that I need right here, with the exception of one. I have to download King Root using the APK Pure software. So I'm going to go into APK Pure. Skip. Okay, and I'm going to find the software called King Root, all one word. Okay, hunt for that. First option. Install it. Next, 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 install. Now I'm going to open it. Okay, King Root is basically going to go into your system and make sure that you can root it. It's going to set all of the settings so that it accepts the root that you're trying to accomplish here. So I'm going to go in, scroll all the way down to the bottom, hit try it. Start root. Okay, so when it gets to this screen, it has Optimize Now on here. You want to click Optimize, let it do its optimization. Okay, so this screen's it's gonna complete. It's gonna come up to this screen, and then after a few seconds, it's gonna go away, and your Wink's gonna come back up. So at this point, we're gonna pull it off the wall. Oh, we're going to let it reboot. When it comes back up, it should give us the option for assistive touch or Nova loader. Came up to Nova launcher. Let's just skip this. Okay, now we're going to go into Nova launcher and we're going to launch assistive touch. Because what happens here is before you load the new Wink relay software for Hubitat, Wink's going to take over the show, right? So Wink just basically beat me to launching the assistive touch. So I'm going to reboot this device now and wait an extra second to see if an update pops up at the bottom. Okay, nothing. I'm going to pull it off the wall. Put it back on the wall, let it boot up. Okay, so I'm going to go into here really quick. I'm going to launch assistive touch. I want that button up when Wink tries to take over my screen. Assistive touch launches. Let's get that button up. There we go. Okay, Wink's going to take over. But I got it this time, right? So now I can go assistive touch, home screen. Takes me back to Nova Loader. Now Wink's done. It can't pop back up anymore. So the very last program I'm going to download is the new Wink Relay software that's available for download by the person who actually created it. He's way more intelligent than I am. So I'm going to open up a browser, Firefox in this case, and here's the assistive touch. I can take it and move this down there if I want and let it go to get it out of the way. So in Firefox, I am going to go to my assistive touch is over my keyboard. Let's close this. Click back in here. Okay, I'm going to go to www. Actually, I'm sorry. Take that back. http colon / wink dot bosh BOSH direct .com / updates / files / capital S, capital T, capital W, wink, capital R, relay, all one word. I do not think that the capitals matter at all. Just doing them because that's the way it was in the directions. Wink relay. And then it's underscore 1 dash 0 dash 0 A dot APK. Okay, and I'm going to hit go. Okay, it's going to ask me if I want to download it. I'm going to choose Firefox and say always. It's going to download the software. I'm going to open it. I'm going to install it. When it installs, it's going to give me a security message when I open it. Gotta open it. It's going to give me a security message. You gotta accept that before it times out. Hit allow. That's your new Wink Relay interface for your Hubitat. Here's an option right here, disable OEM app. That's going to keep your Wink software, the factory software, from overtaking your load from now on. So top button is relay 1. Bottom button, if you have a load on it, relay 2. Okay, now I can go back to settings. I like to show the humidity. So I'm going to say, show me the humidity. Okay, back to the main screen. Move this down. Now I have a working Wink relay that is running services right now that can be detected by Hubitat. And my loads work. That's a fan, so you can't really see a light kick on. But they work from either the switches or the buttons on the screen. Okay, then I will also add to this video when I get to a different location in the house how to add this to the Hubitat. Okay, so now that we've done what we need to do to the Wink relay, we need to come into the Hubitat. We need to go into apps. Okay, and then we'll see the app for Wink relay. We added this by taking the code from the instructions and plugging it in and adding it to the apps code screen and saving it. We also had the driver code that was kindly created for us, and you download that or upload that into the driver's code, and that creates the driver for the Hubitat to accept what we've just done to the Wink relay. So once that's created, we have this Wink relay app. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Then I'm going to select the relay. I should have a new relay in here. There it is. That's the one we just did. Okay. Next. Okay, I'm going to hit done. It's going to suck that relay into Hubitat. Then I'm going to go back to devices. Puts them in alphabetical order, so I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. And I have Wink relay here. Okay. So relay 1 is the top button. I'm going to rename this Wink relay so that I know which room it's in. It's actually in my daughter's room. So I'm going to rename the device name to Lauren's Wink relay. Device label, Lauren's Wink relay. Save device. Okay. Now I'm going to go back into that device again. Could have done it from clicking up there too. Took myself the long way. So now that I renamed it to Lauren's Wink relay, it's going to be in alphabetical order, so I got to scroll up. Here it is. The top load is a light, so I'm going to call this. I'm not going to change the device name here. I'm going to leave that Wink relay child, but right here I'm going to call it Lauren's lights. Use all of my lights when I talk to Alexa are plural so that I don't confuse ones that are singular versus plural. So Lauren's lights, even though it's a single light. Save device. I think I already did that. Save device. Then I'm going to go back to device list. Here's Lauren's Wink relay. Top load is Lauren's lights. Bottom load is going to be Lauren's fan, because that's the fan control, or the fan switch. So save device. Okay. Now when I go back under devices, I'm going to see Lauren's Wink relay. The top button is Lauren's fan. The bottom button is Lauren's lights. Okay. There's one last thing I need to do because all my lights are voice activated. So I'm going to go back into apps. I'm going to go back to my Amazon Echo skill. I'm going to click any of these devices, and now it's going to let me go down through the list of devices, and you'll see new devices in here. Lauren's light, Lauren's fan. Scroll down to the bottom, hit update. It's going to add them to the list for Alexa, hit done. And now when I go upstairs, I can voice command the loads on that Wink relay using my Hubitat and Alexa.